Travis, that's when the directional gets a little tricky.
Yeah, well,
So
we
just
used
centering it is good.
to have the mini ball. Yeah, I just hit it.
We're recording.
Now we're recording. We used to have this mini ball that people would play with. Like, I remember Rich Lamborn would just be like popping back and forth. Like, we're all just such fidgety, little ADD people, so it helped to have a plaything while we were recording. That was at our old studio. You were the OG studio, though. You were kitchen table.
I was kitchen table.
Oh, that is OG.
Yeah, that was like 5 years ago, right?
Dang.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. Yeah, well, kind of. Take two.
Well, this is take two.
We had a rough draft.
Was a month ago.
Yeah, you guys couldn't record one without me.
You know, we couldn't.
Had to wait for me to get back. Love that.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
But I love this setup.
Yeah.
The kitchen table was fun, but
yeah,
this is very professional.
Yeah,
well,
we
really
got the
what we
surfboard
needed,
up this time.
The surfboard up. That was the problem last time. The surfboard was on the ground.
Yeah, it was on the ground. I wanted it to be up when I came back. So.
Perfectionist.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, Miss Sarah Pavan, it's good to have you back on for, we'll call it episode 2.5.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Nobody needs to know about the lost tapes.
I had fun catching up with you, though. It was fun just to chat and catch up.
Yeah, it's been a while. And then we practiced together yesterday, so I've been seeing you more.
It's funny because usually...
The lefties.
Yeah.
Got out there together?
I'll get a call maybe once or twice a month from a women's team before they go play an Elite 16 to be either a Sarah Pavan body double or a Katja Stam body double.
Oh.
And so then
I didn't know that until yesterday.
I was playing my body double. I was like, what do I do? I'm playing myself.
I felt pressure to be like, okay, if you're my body double, I need to be better than my body double. But you're a man, so that's not going to happen. So you probably, the girls are extra prepared when you go because you're better than me. So
I don't know.
They play me and they're like, easy.
You bring some heat because usually when I'm in a women's practice, I'll get a little bit more careless with my pull digs. I pulled on you a few times. I was like, oh shit.
You did pull. Those were bold decisions.
He's a bold puller for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The decision making was interesting, especially because if you're me.
It's almost offensive, right?
You don't pull a whole lot.
I don't pull really.
Right. Yeah.
So but I appreciated it.
Yeah.
It's almost offensive though when someone's pulling on you. It's like 2 feet off. You're like, oh.
Yeah.
Do you really think I hit that soft?
Yeah. It's like, that happened today too in a practice. I was like, the decision making is interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Like 50-50 sets.
And you're doing Arizona this weekend, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
You and Stockman. How was it playing with Stockman?
Great. Yeah. I don't know if I'm aging myself with this, but I'm seeing there's like definitely a generational gap I'm noticing.
Okay.
And so to play with somebody that's like close to my age, it's just different.
Yes.
In a good way.
No, I'm feeling the similar thing. I've been called a little more old school. Like, I think that's why Hayden was like okay with me. Because he's very old, extremely old school, obviously. Yeah. He's like 3 generations ago. But yes, you can definitely see a different, not necessarily work ethic, because it's just a different type of work, I guess. I don't know what it is. How would you describe it? Because it's not like some of the younger athletes are amazing and they put in the time to be awesome. But it's just like that, like dirty grittiness that seems different, right?
Yes.
Stockman does have that.
Yes.
We know that.
She does. I would say that it is A, the grittiness, and B, the mentality around intensity.
Ah, that's a good point. Okay. That's a good way to put it.
Especially, I don't know if you guys experience this because you're men, but as an intense woman that's already kind of on edge.
I can see
and
that.
then you add the generational gap.
Right.
Where there is, I would say the younger athletes, there is a much stronger focus on mental health maybe and mindset and just like having fun.
Right.
Like compete but have fun, and it's like no, like me screaming is fun.
Yeah, that is fun. What are you talking about?
Like, so there's that disconnect that
I
have experienced, and so like Stockman is very close to my age, very similar mentality, and it's just like the matter of fact, like intense information is just good. There's no fluff attached. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
Whereas
that's a good
with
point.
other athletes, and I don't want to like generalize, but it's a pattern that I have been seeing.
Right.
It's more just like, okay, is the delivery right?
Right.
Do I look happy when I'm
don't-
delivering this? Like,
Should I smile?
yeah, like all those things, and it's just like, yeah, I don't have
That's
to
a
think
good way
about
to put it. Well, it's like when you think about how are these kids taught in elementary school and like middle school, and like our teachers were allowed to
Fail us.
I don't know. I mean, I had like a football teacher once. He was the football coach, and like we literally choose physical or writing punishment. Like when we got, it wasn't like I wasn't getting beaten in schools, which like the generation before us actually did. Like they got paddled, but like it was much different where he could like smack me upside the head. He's my teacher, and it's just like, I mean, I just gotta take it. Whereas nowadays, like you can't do it. Like the kids, it's abuse. Like there's certain things that used to happen to us were just kind of normal, like toughen you up. Whereas now it's literally like you might go to jail.
Yeah.
As a teacher or
Or
coach
even,
or something like that. No water at water breaks when you're a kid. It's like that was punishment. No, you don't get water. Now it's like, oh no, you go get water. You didn't get water. Like when I was a kid, you were like,
right.
You weren't allowed to get water breaks if you did it wrong or whatever.
Yeah.
Or
run till you throw up.
Yeah,
like that was
you're
a thing,
gonna run
right?
until you throw up, or like you suck. Just get out of the drill.
Right? Yeah, leave the freaking gym. You're terrible.
Yeah, just leave the gym. You're awful. Come back when you're ready to be better.
Yeah.
Or like, I didn't play. Well, what did you do wrong?
Right.
Like you don't really see that as much anymore. It's like, oh,
can you imagine coaching like club or something now? Right now,
absolutely not.
I cannot.
No,
that'd be rough.
The worst part, when I was covering
fair
high school
play. Are you
sports,
kidding? No.
I decided I like my discovery was that the worst people in the world are the parents of high school athletes right now.
Right. Okay.
Because it's the kids are raised a certain way, and it starts with the parents. Where if you yell at a kid, I'm so grateful that my dad was hard. Like he yelled at us, and now I look back and I'm like, Dad, you couldn't get away with the stuff you and the tone that you said it.
No.
And he was nothing compared to his dad.
Right.
Probably right.
And I'm so grateful for it.
Yeah.
Well, I just think of things like coaches said to me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
If that was
100%.
But like I didn't have a problem with it, and I really think that it helped make me into the athlete I am.
Yes.
But now,
So it's like it must be a different thing that drives kids nowadays or athlete. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like cuz that is something that we value now later in life, that we're glad we were taught to be tough. But then this next generation is succeeding and doing well in their own way. So it's like, what are they pulling from in that same way?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, because all the sports are getting so creative and innovative. Like, you read Hicks and Gracie's book, right?
Yes.
And he was talking about it, he's one of the best jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah, his family basically invented Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. And so what he said is that the generation that came after him, their baseline was now all the new things that he had innovated.
Right.
And now you see it with beach volleyball, where the baseline is just higher, where there's no, now you have the jump setting and the movement offense and the way that people are blocking.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the baseline, the skills you're learning at a young age are now like what the elite, like the top of the class used to do when they were in their prime. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just the next generation is just seeing those skills, and that's their new baseline.
That's how it's going to be every
Yeah.
generation. But personality-wise, I don't know.
yeah,
It's definitely different. I talked to the Swedes the other day, 2 days ago, and they said their coach is the reason that they jump set everything. Like he just made them like, this is how we play volleyball from day one. I don't know at what age they started together with that coach, but that was like his thing. So like they learned professional volleyball that way. There was never anything else.
Yeah.
yeah.
And that was like every once in a while we did it on the pro tour kind of thing. And it was like kind of cool. Like, does that actually work? Is that
legal?
Yeah, is that legal? And that's their baseline now. And like, look how good they are. They're literally like doing reverse pokey sets the other direction. Like it's like insane.
Yeah.
The amount the game has evolved in the last few years is absolutely insane.
Yeah. It's funny when we talked to Phil, he was like, I'm so glad I'm retiring. While he was watching like a Sweden match, he's like, I'm out of here.
It's, as a blocker, I definitely feel it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I felt it playing Sweden a few days ago. I was like, I shouldn't be jump serving anymore. We were like tied 16 all both sets or something like that, 16 or 17. And then I think I just couldn't catch my breath for the last 2 points. And we lost 17, 21, 18 or something like that.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, all right, I need to learn how to be more efficient playing against teams like this.
Well, it's even like, I don't know if you experienced it in the men's game, but in the women's game, up until like, I don't know, even 2 years ago, the offenses were like very much still up and down. Right. And now with the movement and how flat everything is, as a blocker, it is so hard to get set and then generate the power you need to make big moves at the net. So I like, you just feel useless.
When you like tap, when you're kind of doing that like off balance tap blocking or half jump stuff, you just don't feel.
You're not able to like gather yourself to make a
angle,
huge move. Right. And then it's just like, what am I taking away right now?
Right.
Because when it was basic, it was so easy to just gather yourself and be big.
Yeah.
But like,
Did you ever play middle indoors?
No.
That's what it reminds me of. I played middle for club at one point, and it reminds me of that because you have 3 hitters where you're like kind of like, I'll tap block on this guy, I'll be late on the outside, and then I'll get a full swing on the right. Like where you're prioritizing certain things. Like that's what it feels like, especially with Sweden. Like,
but how are you supposed to make any big dive moves? Like indoor, absolutely.
No,
I've swung block on the beach lately, but that's just to take a neutral ball.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I'm gonna do that movement, plant hard enough to then take an angle or something, you can't.
Yeah, and how are you supposed to run a 4 or like
exactly? That's what I'm talking about. Like a 4 or even a 3.
Your defender has to actually start the fake. They have to run all the way to the line just to run all the way back. Whereas like they're over here and then they just sprint and do like a slide basically.
Yeah.
You can't run a play on that anymore. So you have to have like plays called before that, or just like, you know, if they do this, we know we just fall back to our ones basically, so which is what most people do. Or if they go back to 1 or 2. And
it's happened so quickly.
Yes, exactly.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's like as soon as the Tokyo Olympics ended, everybody's like, done.
Yeah.
We're playing indoor style.
Yes.
And I'm
so true.
like, what? How did everybody get on this page? Exactly. And where was my memo? Because I'm here like, I'm an idiot. Like, how am I supposed to defend this? But it happened very quickly.
Yeah.
Is there a Swedish equivalent to you on the women's side where you see them? From watching the women's game, I would think that Raisa Skun and Kaja Stam would be pretty close to the way that Raisa runs her offense. Maybe the Aussies.
Sweden's freaking.
I mean, they're the exception, but in terms of a team where you're like, when you play them, you're like,
so different.
As a blocker, you're like, damn it.
There's also like Adrian was kind of that before them in his own way. Like his style is insane.
As a blocker, I would say Australia is probably the closest. You don't see the same level of athleticism in the women's game, obviously, that somebody is legitimately a threat to jump set.
Right.
And then like run a spread offense. Like the women just don't do that. And anybody who pretends to, they're pretending to. Like they rarely use it. So it's not really a great decoy by any means. But with like Australia, you pick. Like, I'm either going to prioritize Talika's swing or Maria Faye. And I have just started not even worrying about the 2-ball and getting off and just trying to dig it if I can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you have to pick. It's,
when they get that perfect pass.
Yeah.
Well, you have to serve better.
You have to serve better.
That's kind of the real answer. But then I'm like, okay, I'm going to rip jump serve. I'm like, okay, I got him 10 feet off the net, but now I'm like tired and they're still jump setting. Now they're still jump setting.
Oh, they're delivering a handset from the baseline. Whereas before, anything other than like decently perfect was forearms.
Yeah. That's what like Miles Partain now is. He's hitting options from 10 feet off. He'll just stroke it to the corner or something.
Yeah.
But it just makes usually it's 10 feet off. Okay, I'm over you. We're over here. But for him, we kind of like might need to stay home for a second. And then if they're running a shoot, it's like,
Yeah.
now you got to pick and choose. But also like from off the net, his fan's kind of big. Like it's still big enough to where he can go either corner. And if I'm going to the pin as a blocker, I'm giving up both corners. And my defender's just sitting duck back there.
Yeah. It's become we're deciding what we are willing to give up.
Yeah.
And you just need to be okay with it.
Right. I think what it is the offenses have evolved and the defenses haven't yet. We're kind of in that phase. Because it's not like Sweden's figured out defense against themselves. Right?
Yeah.
It's true.
And they're dominating.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like, Norway will still beat them, and like, they'll still lose, but Norway, like, legitimate, in Tepic, they, like, legitimately couldn't stop anything, right?
They're, like, it was as dominant of a win over Anders and Christian that I've seen in a really long time.
It was only, like, their second loss ever in a final.
Yeah.
They were, like, 20-0 or something.
It was crazy.
Must be nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
But the Czechs figured it out. They beat him.
Mm-hmm.
And Schweiner did a good job because most teams do what you were talking about, how you're like, I'm just giving up the two.
Mm-hmm.
Like, take it. But Schweiner, whatever he saw on Amon, all of his blocks came on Amon's options. So
I feel like I got up on Amon's options the right way, but I was kind of like chasing him.
Yeah.
You know, like as a blocker, you have to make the decision first. If you kind of like go up and then follow him or go up too early and he can react and go the other way. That's what he was doing to me. But I like got set on the right ones. I wasn't like, oh crap, like flying all over the place as much as I had been before. So maybe it's just like your eye has to like evolve to it a little bit too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I'm glad to know I'm not the only one having these thoughts and these issues because I was like, everybody seems fine. This is great.
Yeah.
But okay, I feel a lot better now. Thank you.
You're welcome to have SANDCAST therapy anytime you want.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. Like,
We should charge.
Seriously. This was very, very
Just come on the blue
helpful.
couch and let's just talk about blocker problems.
Yeah.
Totally. We should have episodes like that, like blocker journals, memoirs of a blocker.
Like my Peel Dig diary.
Dear diary.
The diaries, yeah.
If we would have filmed dog practice, I'd had quite a few of those. Just like
Luckily,
barely
you
getting
went
out
up.
of the way.
Well, luckily you went up high on my two ball, and I didn't hit it that high. So thank you very much. Like overestimating my abilities, I appreciate that. But that was fun.
It was fun.
Who'd you play with?
Me and Molly Turner.
There we
Because
go.
Molly's playing with Maddie Mae Anderson. But Maddie's she's doing national championships this weekend at Florida State. And so I've just been like Molly's fill-in partner whenever she needed one.
I've always wanted to train with the girls, to be honest.
It's
the
the
girls
best.
are more technical and like caring about the small things, plus passing
Passing
way
on a
harder.
women's net, it's the greatest drill ever.
Yeah,
I go
but-
back to a men's net, I'm like, oh, this is amazing.
That's why I refuse to warm up on a men's net.
It's smart.
Whenever
right? When
things
they're
are messy,
switching
you
the
know,
net, yeah.
they're
Yeah.
like, what's wrong with you? Why won't you just go warm up on the men's net? Because it messes me up so much when I start the
passing.
game. Yeah, passing. Because
I
the
always
ball
thought
just
about
goes
hitting,
like
like-
different.
I was like do you guys ever put the rope up, like a little string? You have to hit over the string, right? I was like doing that, but I was always like, what if we just put up a net like a foot higher and you just had to play that? So you're really like, it's that high over that high line where it's fast but over the block that you're hitting, the high one to the corner, the cut shot but it's over a block when they're blocking two. Work on all those. I thought that'd be a decent idea.
Yeah. Well, John Mayer, he does that stuff a lot at LMU because practicing with JM, he's the volunteer assistant at LMU, so we'll put the net on like 8-4. And then we'll have one of the nets low. Well, I don't know how high Mayer will make it for the girls, but he'll make a high net, he'll make a low net, he'll do one side's high, one side's low, so they're like running back sets all the time.
Right.
And Mayer just kind of does it to mess with the mental thing. We're like, figure it out. Like it's going to get messy during matches where you just got to figure stuff out when it's kind of weird. He's like a little Jedi
good.
master.
I feel like that's good for younger athletes.
Yeah.
I could see it pissing off pros. I got my...
It's not game like.
I'm used to that. Yeah.
Well, you got Arizona coming up and then Huntington. Yes. Are you getting back on the world tour? Are we going to see you back there anytime soon?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I'm figuring that out.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Sophie and I are no longer playing together. So there are not a ton of Canadian options.
Yeah.
So I'm working on figuring that out. I don't want to be done.
Yeah.
I still love competing. I think I'm still, despite everything we just talked about, I think I'm still playing at a decently high level.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to be done. So I've put out some feelers and I'm waiting for some responses.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
Okay.
I think if I do continue, it will obviously have to be in the challengers. Just our country is very limited as to who has points. Mm-hmm. And even Sophie and I had dropped out of that. So, yeah, it'll be a grind.
Yeah.
That's one of the hardest things with Canada. Like, I've seen it now multiple times. Like, Shakhtar, right? He pulled Dan Deering out of retirement, basically, right?
Yeah.
Like, basically begged him, like, dude, please, I need you to come out.
Yeah.
And came basically switched federations because of that. That's tough.
It is tough.
Not having options.
There are pros and cons.
But at least you can play AVP.
I can.
That's pretty great, actually.
It's...
Because Shakhtar couldn't do that, but although
now
he can?
That's my guy.
Oh!
I heard he's... Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Pursue that.
Yeah.
Green light.
Wait, so he did the whole thing?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we talked he had a chat with his lawyers on Monday and got the green light.
There's your announcement.
And yeah.
Sorry, Shakhtar.
Shakhtar's my guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It's good for like the Olympic situation, like without having depth.
Oh, yeah. The quota, right?
There isn't that quota issue.
That's been a problem for me. On multiple occasions.
For many Americans.
Yes, for sure.
But then you guys also have the luxury that if things don't work out, there are lots of players to choose from. We do not have that. So it's definitely, there's some pros and cons. I'm currently experiencing the cons.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, usually works out for the best when in the long run, the good players end up where they belong, I feel like. That's what we've said, at least on the show, right? Yeah,
the last time we really talked about that was when Kristen and Taryn had 0 points. Mm. They're like, everyone was saying that they should break up. And the cream always ends up rising. Or when Came Shock, when he switched federations and he had 0 points. I was like, at some point he'll find his way back up. It just kind of always happens that way. Like the talent, it's inevitable. You can't keep it down for too long.
Yeah, I wonder, like, is the youth, is there any youth, like, is there a strong youth program for the Canadian national team at all?
The NCAA.
Yeah, the NCAA trains all of our players.
That's a good point.
No.
Obviously for the men, there's not really.
Yeah, the men's pretty barren. But the NCAA, remember Molly McBain, she's Canadian, right? She did well at Florida State. Leah Monkhouse won a decent amount at UCLA. Yeah. The Max came through UCLA.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, the NCAA's done a decent job training the young Canadians.
Yes.
Would you have, obviously you had a ton of success indoors, but looking back, because the landscape's obviously very different, do you think you would have considered going the beach route early on? Like college years?
No.
Yeah. That's what I would have expected.
Never.
Yeah.
I honestly, hindsight's 20/20.
Right.
But lately, I have been regretting my decision to leave indoor when I did. I wish that I had just not.
Interesting.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I I mean, I flip-flopped for several years and officially left indoor in 2018.
Right.
And I miss that. The reasons that I left obviously did not pan out the way that I had expected.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's easy looking back to be like, oh, you shouldn't have left.
Did you have like specific expectations on, obviously you achieved some very high things on the beach. So which tells me you had very, very high expectations for yourself.
So, I mean, when I played with Heather, I was splitting time.
Right, that's right, yeah.
And so her and I had finished 5th in Rio. And after that, I was like, still very interested in playing indoor, but it was like, oh, I don't want to finish 5th again. And then when Melissa and I partnered up, we had a lot of success very early.
Right.
And I was still playing indoor at that time. And then I just didn't want to have any regrets when Tokyo was over.
Right.
Because, you know, in Rio, it was like a summertime activity.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to look back and be like, oh man, we were so good, but like what would have happened if I had like put all of my energy into it? So I left for that reason.
Okay.
And then, I mean, we ended up in the same position as I did when I was doing it half time.
Yep.
So it's like, it was kind of disappointing.
So it was really Olympic oriented, like
100%. I just did not want to have regrets or think what if when Tokyo ended.
Right.
And I know like my thought process and my logic around it might not be the most sound. It's definitely a very emotional thought process that I'm going through right now.
For sure.
But I did still very much love it.
Yeah.
I was good at it. I liked the lifestyle and everything attached to it. So, yeah. It's hard to think that what I gave it up for did not really
fully pan out.
Yeah.
World
in
champion.
a way.
Yes.
That shows your standards, actually.
I was like, world champ.
You didn't even mention
number one in the world for a while. Commonwealth gold medal.
Well, it's interesting, like, to hear, because for me, it's a very different story. Like, I'm just a beach guy. I played indoor for a while. I believe I could have. I've gotten a lot more physical and just better as an athlete, like, with age. So I believe I could have done well indoors. But when I was gone, like, I never looked back, and it was just my game. But my goals are, like, let's see if I can win one World Tour event, which I won early on. Then it was like, you know, see if I can make the Olympics, see if I can win an AVP. Like, there was so much lower level things that I could tick off the box.
I wouldn't consider them lower level. And hearing you talk, I'm sitting here being like, wow, I'm an asshole.
No,
I mean, because those are still like very.
But you had so much success
good accomplishments.
that's where you set your own bar, which like says a lot.
I mean, ultimately the goal was to win the Olympics or at the very least medal. Sure. Being a world champion, I can't sit here and be like, whatever. Like that is a big deal. And that is something I'm very proud of for sure. But that's
your dream as an athlete, was Olympic gold.
Yes. And like my whole life, like to this day, I still consider myself a better indoor player than I ever was beach. And so my identity as like a volleyball player, I do still identify more as an indoor athlete than beach.
Right.
Which, to walk away was hard. And then I would love to go back, but being out of it for so long, like, it's not going to happen. So
you don't think so?
No.
You don't think you could call up your agent and say, hey, like, I think some people could use a 6'5" right side?
Again, it becomes like the certain standard that I like have in my head, and like seeing the athletes that are playing now, they're incredible.
Yeah, you don't want to go back and play in a C League or something. And it just wouldn't do it.
Want to.
Yeah, it wouldn't excite you, right?
And as an opposite, like you see the best opposites in the world, like Boscovich, Egonu, like Hawk, like those girls are 22.
Right, yeah.
your girl's not going to come back, like, no, that's done. But yeah, it's something I think about.
Yeah. Interesting.
But have you extinguished the what if though? Like are you going to look back at Tokyo and wonder what if, because you went all in,
I did. I think we dropped the ball hard. I'm not happy with how things went there. I think we were good enough to do much better than we did. And that's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that I have no regrets for the effort that I put forth in pursuing that dream. I know that I gave absolutely everything I had to make that happen, both interpersonally and, physically on court. But yeah, to get the same result is just like, it's so like frustrating.
Yeah, I can see that. Is there any part of it that lies on the challenge that COVID presented? Obviously, there was a massive part of it all.
I mean, I obviously can't sit here and say what would have happened if we had gotten to play in 2020.
Right.
Seeing how that preseason was going, how 2019 went, how good we were in March of 2020.
Right.
There was absolutely no doubt in my mind that we were going to win the Olympics. Absolutely. Like, it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Again, it didn't happen, so we don't know. But it would have been, I think, a much different story.
Yeah.
And I don't want to use that as an excuse because, sure, did the break help some teams? Absolutely. But it definitely hurt some. And who knows how it would have played out, It made
me an Olympian, which is really weird. I'm not trying not to claim it too much, but it's like that crazy, bizarre of a thing that happened.
Yeah.
It's just like...
And I do think you earned it because you would have been in twice had it not been for the country quota.
Yeah. I mean,
you've qualified via points.
We can twist it as many ways as we want. Yeah.
Just sports suck sometimes. Beach volleyball really sucks.
Yeah.
A lot of the time. I'm not gonna lie, it's like the worst. And you think of like how many tournaments you play and you don't leave, well, I can't say you, but like I don't leave any tournament remotely okay unless I win.
Right.
And how often does that happen? So like I'm just a wreck.
Right.
The majority of the time. But I keep doing it. And it's like, why? Like, why do I keep going back to something that messes me up so much when the win percentage for the majority of teams is so small?
That's such a good point.
What's it feel like when you win? Is the high of winning?
That's the thing.
Does that make it worth it?
That's the thing. It's like winning is probably the only time where I'm just like at peace and not just like ripping myself apart. It's not healthy, kids. Do not follow this at all. Do not be like this. But like I can find many things to just like obsess about and want to improve and like not be okay with.
Yeah.
But when I win, it's just like peace.
Okay.
Right.
I've never
So
heard
I'm basically chasing
like
peace. I'm not even chasing like a high of being like so excited, so proud of myself. It's just like I'm chasing inner peace.
Right.
That's messed up.
And there's 30 other teams and only one of them can have that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sports are gnarly.
They're brutal.
Super gnarly.
The worst.
I've been kind of wrestling with, because I'm like trying to raise my standards, obviously, trying to see if I can get towards that number one in the world, Olympic gold, all that. But like winning this AVP, right? It was watered down. But like I don't believe I should just win it and be like, hey, shake hands, get out of here. This is easy, event. I can't celebrate. Like, no, you need to like stop. And for me, I got to recognize like it's hard to win an AVP. at one point, this was like one thing you never knew if you'd accomplish. Like, let's just celebrate this tonight, be here. But the other side of it is right. It's like, no, the teams weren't here. Like, you got a whole season ahead of you. We got next week. Like, let's move on. Like, be happy, move on. And then even the 5th this week, it's like, I've gotten 5ths on the World Tour. But you look at the points and the way that the system is right now, and it was huge for us. And we did win some big games and new partnership. But I'm still like, so when do I, okay, I'll enjoy it. But when do I just move on? And like, that balance has kind of been interesting lately.
I by no means want to minimize. Like, what I am saying is definitely like an issue that I have, and I'm not trying to like minimize anybody's standards or, satisfaction.
Right.
I absolutely think that you should celebrate getting 5th at an Elite 16. It is hard to do.
Right.
It is really hard to do.
Yeah.
And I don't think people understand just how hard it is.
Right.
You should celebrate winning an AVP. It's something that is worthy of being proud of.
Right.
And I don't want to sit here and say like my standards have to be everybody's.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
My standard, how I approach winning, I need to be more satisfied with so many things that I have done that I just have not allowed myself to be satisfied with. And that is not okay.
Right.
But like, watered down or not, like, a win is a win.
Right. Totally.
And I will take that any day.
100%.
And it definitely needs to be appreciated. And I need to appreciate even like coming 5th with Emily in New Orleans. Like, I should be okay with that. Her and I haven't played together, and we lost to like an international like level team.
Right.
But instead I was like, well, at this point you did this, and then you gave up 2 points here. And why were your hands like this on the block? And it's like, just forget it, man. Like, you were like, so don't be like me, please.
You have pretty good self-awareness though of it. Which
Self-awareness and like actually like
guess.
changing it are different things. But
that's fair.
Yes,
when
I
did
am
those
very
standards start for you? Have you always been wired like that, or did that start like as you got to a pretty high level in college? Did it really take root there?
I would say earlier than that.
Okay.
I was growing up, my dad coached me. He was also taught at my high school, so I had him for high school and club. And I was not told that I was good. So I just like grew up with this standard of like, you can be better, you can be better, you can be better. And I very rarely got a pat on the back. And pats on the back came from winning. Okay. Not from being excellent, but coming up short.
Yeah.
And so, but I was like the most ultra competitive kid, like in every sport I played.
Yeah.
And so it was like winning or nothing. So I think growing up and getting that constant, feedback of there's always something that you can be better at.
Yeah.
But winning is great is, I mean, it sinks in and it becomes like kind of who you are. And that perfectionist like mindset is so ingrained in me.
Yeah.
I would say as I've gotten older and obviously become more self-aware and understood why I am the way I am, it has been something that I can be more objective about and like try to be kinder to myself. But it's way easier to be kind to like my partner or to a teammate than it is to me. So I think it'll be something that I like struggle with or work through my whole life. And I'm just like, it's something that I'm very aware of, that if I ever do have children, that I will be careful of, I think.
Well, the awareness of it alone usually makes you, as a parent, you're picking and choosing like when to apply these things and when not to and what to I feel like some people get scared of like their kids are going to pick up their certain negative things that they find in themselves. Mm-hmm. But I've also heard and found that it's kind of the opposite. Like if you have awareness about the stuff that you don't love about yourself or that you could change, then your kids actually pick up the opposite of it. If you have that self-awareness, like it comes out in your actions as a parent.
But like I don't want, again, I'm not a parent, so this is all hypothetical. But like I wouldn't want to go the complete opposite because I think that there are so many.
Right? That grittiness is
there are
a good
so
thing.
many things that if I do have a kid that I would want them to be as a competitor and as a hard worker, or even if they don't play sports, just like in the pursuit of being excellent at something.
Right.
There are so many qualities that I would want them to have.
Sure.
So I don't want to like flip the narrative completely because my husband had the other thing where his parents were like incredibly supportive and just very much like, well, whatever you feel like just
right.
And so he wishes that he had some more of what I had growing up. And so
sounds like a good balance.
Yeah, right. And so he's a little bit like, I could have been so much more if I had a parent that had pushed me. And so it's kind of,
I'm trying to think about for myself now is like my parents were very athletes. My whole family's athletes. And they competed super hard and pushed themselves hard, but literally could care less if I won or anything like that. And I feel like that I never had pressure. I was never scared to fail, which made me just like keep pushing and like see what I can do. I don't care if I fail, you know. But I guess it's somewhere in between there. I don't know.
My dad was, we could win and he'd be furious with us if we did stupid mental mistakes or we didn't try or our effort was lacking. Whereas if we lost, but our effort was there, he was like fired up about it. So he was more concerned with how hard are we working? Like, did we shoot hoops the day before a basketball game or something? Like he would get honest about that, about effort, but not necessarily. He's like, the winning, that's more for you. Like, you can enjoy that, whatever. But I'm more concerned about, like, your development because that's going to be the stuff that pays off in life.
Right.
So he was like, trying to teach life lessons. We're like fifth grade basketball.
Yeah.
No, and, like, to be clear, it's not like I would be like, no dinner for you. You didn't win. Like, it wasn't like that. No. It was just, like, I truly think, like, I was just wired in this way of, like, I need and want to be the best. And I think my parents saw that in me and like wanted to encourage me in that.
Okay.
And my dad is also very competitive. So like he could see the similarity there and could relate. It wasn't like, I was obviously loved and it wasn't like you have to win or you're nothing.
Right.
But it was, like, my dad was the type, like, if I wanted to go practice by myself, he never said no. Like, he wanted my success as much as I did. And so he was willing to support me that in any way. And I think it's probably hard to have a kid that is so hard on themselves and, like, know how to react.
Right.
So he took the stance of, like, okay, well, if you're gonna be this and be a perfectionist, like, I'm not going to try to change you.
Right. Almost like hold you to your own standard.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
And so I can't even imagine how hard parenting is. So good luck.
Yeah, exactly.
To both of you.
I'm 3 years in and
it's
3-year-old's
just like,
a little tricky.
You try your best. And
exactly.
like, I know wholeheartedly that my parents tried their best and gave me the best that they can to help me achieve what I wanted to.
Yeah.
I am certain of that. And, like, is the execution of what every parent does perfect?
Never.
No, but, like, the intention is there.
Yes.
And so, obviously, there are things that I've had to come to terms with as I get older and try to, like, move through things like that. But you guys have got quite the exciting time ahead of you with your children, so have fun.
He's got a boy, so I feel like that's usually easier.
Yeah,
I've heard.
It's really funny because I look at, I was talking to Burek because Burek just had a girl and he's so delicate with her. And I'm over here.
Gert's
just
not a delicate guy either.
No.
That's funny.
Yeah, like I think I would be different with the kid if it was a girl, but with Austin, I'm just like carrying him like a football, like tossing him around. Like he's fine. Boys are indestructible.
I'm actually curious how I would treat a boy now that I know how I treat a girl. Yeah. And I think I would be different for sure. Just naturally, just like, it's my guy right here. Let's go.
Yeah.
Well, why can't you be like that with a girl? Like I will say that I was
it's
like my
here's
dad's
my little girl. Like,
buddy.
I love my little girl. But the boy's like, I gotta toughen you up. I don't know why. It's something. I don't know what it is.
See, my dad didn't have a boy, so I was his little buddy. Okay. So, like, let's go out and play.
My girl's putting 3 dresses on at the same time and, like, tutus on her head. I think I'm screwed in that category. But I'm just, go for it.
Interesting.
Gabby's not really a girly girl either in a lot of ways. Like, she doesn't like pinks and, like, she likes I don't know. She likes to be a little more gritty. She's not really an athlete, but she didn't want any pink or anything. Like, I'm having a girl. I'm not going to make her all pink and dresses and all that. And then right when Naya got old enough to like pick, she wanted the exact opposite.
Sometimes nature beats nurture.
Nature
won.
Yeah, and we've given it. We're just we don't care. Do you?
But what is she into?
Naya?
Yeah.
Rainbows and unicorns and princesses and Little Mermaids.
Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
Mickey Mouse. The newest show is PJ Masks.
Oh.
And that's like superhero kids, which I'm like, okay, there we go. It's not unicorns. There we go. That's cool.
Does she do like sports or does she like girl more
it's funny?
She's
things? She was like, what was it? She was like calling someone out like, oh, I was at so-and-so's house and they didn't have a screw to fix the wall or something. I was like, that's not a normal 3-year-old thing. But
she's watching Gabby
she hangs out with Gabby doing stuff like that. And I'm like, and she has toys now, like her own work shed toys.
Oh
so she actually screws in bolts. And
she has a toolbox?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so she actually knows about that stuff. And it's kind of funny. She's kind of creative. Like she loves drawing and that kind of stuff. Building. I don't know. It's hard for me to compare because I only have one.
Yeah. Oh.
But athlete stuff, I tried to kick a ball this morning. I think only one foot works.
She's still scarred from her crypt crawling.
Yeah, exactly.
She used to just drag her leg.
One leg got super strong as a kid because she just like
dragged her whole body with
it. She
like
learned how to like crawl one way where she's like not quite standing, but she could like stand up on one leg. So she just do that all the time, and one leg became dominant. I don't know.
Interesting.
But athlete-wise,
she's not super coordinated yet.
I think she's gonna be like Gabby. Like Gabby's really good at like ping pong, pool, stuff like that. She's pretty good at tennis, but like anything like physical, like ball sports, hand-eye stuff, she can do. But other than that, not so much.
She's 3. It's over.
That's my guess. I don't know. I think I'm probably definitely overthinking this as a 3-year-old. But I only have one, like I said.
I'm just convinced that if you were to have a boy, you'd be a lot rougher with the boy. But Delaney is so careful with him, whereas I'm just like toss him like he's a 2-year-old. Like, yeah, he's fine. Like he's
don't you worry?
He
like
can't even hold his head up, Travis. Jeez.
I do hold his head. He's so funny though.
He's exaggerating a little. I'm hoping.
He'll be laying.
He'll
be laying on my chest though, and he'll pick his head up and look around, and then he'll just like lose the strength and just boom, and like just crash into my collarbone. I'm like, dude.
How old are they when their necks get strong enough? Because that makes me nervous.
This is where I need you. I don't know.
2 months maybe.
Because at the moment his is not.
I think they can hold their head up after like 2 months. I don't know. I'm not good with numbers. Like those remembering
those benchmarks.
Like, I think she was walking at like 3 months or something. Like, oh no, that was a year. Oh yeah, okay. I don't know. Benchmarks, yeah.
Do you and Adam want kids?
I'm definitely the limiting factor. I historically did not.
Okay.
I was not interested at all. Now that time's almost up, I'm like, I think I do. So
get the biological kick.
Yes, exactly.
Time's almost up on volleyball, right?
And just I'm old, so that's a problem.
Oh, I don't know.
What, you're 30?
I think I'm 36.
36.
Younger than Kamer, younger than my partner. Hyman's
Actually, I think
playing
we're
and
the
he's
same
50,
age, yeah.
so
You know what? That would be. I don't.
not that old.
He's amazing.
Yeah, he is.
I don't know how he does it. But then I see like Larissa. She's like 40. Talita's 40.
Yeah.
Exactly.
She's playing her 200th international event.
That's crazy.
It's nuts.
I have so much respect for her.
Yes.
So I'm leaning that way.
Yeah.
Nice.
We'll see.
Well, I'm 2 weeks in. I recommend it.
Well, we
If
should
you're
ask
recommending
Delaney,
it, yeah.
not you.
Yes.
I asked Delaney this morning because she comes out to practice and just hangs out. She tries to get the kid out on morning walks, and I asked her if she missed it, and she's like, 0. Like, not even a little. She's like, I think I timed it perfectly. She's like, I watch people play, and I'm like, I just don't want to do that. Yeah. Granted, it still hurts her to walk, so
Right, yeah,
it's hard to really get back in, in that mindset where you want to jump.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, you see some people, no interest, and that's cool. And then some just want to jump right back in. And
Right.
Yeah.
It's been really interesting talking to moms because we had Kim DiCello on a little bit after she had her first boy, Luca, and she was saying how she thought that she'd have her kid, take care of it, and then she'd be right back. And she said even when I was competing, it was hard for me to really dial into that uber competitive mindset. She's like, I just didn't really have that extra drive I did. And I want to talk to Betsy about it because she said that she still has it, but it's different. Like it
I think
changes
your perspective probably changes.
Yeah.
It's like, how upset can you be when like your little baby runs up to you after the game and they don't know anything about what you're going through mentally, but they're just so happy to see you. And it just like...
You have to choose in that moment. You're like, it feels important to like keep dwelling on this and like give it its time, the loss or whatever it is. But you're like, but it just kind of feels selfish because like this kid just wants to see their parent.
Yeah.
So you're like, I'll put that on the back burner. Then you hang out with your kid, and then you're not in a bad mood anymore from the loss. You're like, well. Because sometimes I feel like I need to dwell after, right?
Yeah.
Or else I'm like wasting that loss. Because you learn from your losses, right? But then, when she comes out, I'm just like, never mind, whatever.
And you're
screw it.
everything to her, and you're not a volleyball player to her.
No,
like you're just the most important thing.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
I think I need a kid.
That sounds
Moral of the
nice.
story is for my mental well-being, I need a kid, and then I'll be fine.
Well, there's other parts to the parenting. Do you like sleeping?
Yes.
A little too much.
Too much, I think.
Okay.
I also have a saint for a husband, so I think that.
Yes. Right.
That could
I love your husband.
That's a good point.
Thank you.
He's the man. You picked him well.
great.
Is he here right now? Is he in Cali?
Yes, he's currently watching the Leafs.
That's why we couldn't get him on the show, probably.
Yeah.
Huh?
He was gonna come, and then he saw the time, and he's like, "The Leafs need me." So they haven't made a second round in
Sounds like a
almost 20
Canadian.
years.
Yeah.
Yes, but for some reason he loves me, so I'm just gonna go with it
Love
because
that.
I'm very lucky. He's wonderful.
You guys are a good personality combo.
Yes. Could not be more opposite. Just high strung and very relaxed. And
Was it, gosh, it's got to be tough because he was just on the road with the fraternity brothers for a month.
The fraternity brothers?
Jake and Russ.
for 2 months.
I thought you were talking about Sam and Dan.
Well, he gets both of them. He had the treat of
Why are
Jake
they
and
a
Russ
frat?
too.
Because
Well,
they
that's
all
what-
live together.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's
On
how
the road.
that's how Adam described it. He's like, it felt like I was living in a fraternity house because if you go in Jake's room, I hope he's listening.
Oh,
I mean,
can
you can't
see
see
that.
the floor.
Oh, God.
It's just closed.
I heard that Adam had to lay down the law a couple times and be like, I'm leaving. And when I come back, this will be clean because this is nasty.
No.
So, yeah, it was 2 months. It was it was
That's
a
a
long
lot.
haul.
I was thinking that because Adam was on the road with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, they're not on the road together right now. That's rough.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a couple months. So he is back until he leaves again. Or maybe I'll leave. I don't know.
He's back for a little bit too, because the next challenge is until your Mala.
June.
I think.
Yep.
Yeah, so he's got some time.
I'll soak it up while he's here, and then I mean, I've been the one to leave more often than not for trips, so I think a little role reversal is due.
Right.
So I will never complain or say anything about it.
Right.
In your little because your last international event was Tepic, and then you've had some time, not necessarily to unwind, but have you ever kind of given yourself credit for just how many great things you've been able to accomplish? Like, has this been kind of a reflective period at all? Have you ever let yourself have one of those where you're like, you know what, won world championships, like at the moment, if you were to retire, not saying you are, but you'd go down as the greatest blocker in Canadian history right now. It's a pretty damn good accomplishment.
I have not really spent any time thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, you think about how important winning is to you as an individual and your own career. And then you step away, the sport continues, tournaments continue, everything continues. What you did, does it really matter? Nobody thinks about it. You think about it, and all of those things are very important to you as an individual. But like, it is a very humbling thought process.
Right. Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
And I think it's become much more in focus for me now as I have had to sit and watch a couple tournaments that I had fully intended on being at happen, and it's like the sport continues. It moves on. The sport doesn't miss me or need me or anything, and you, in our own sense of self-importance, we feel like it should for whatever reason, and I mean I don't feel that way, but it just puts things in perspective that this is what I do, and it's something I enjoy doing, but by no means does the sport like need me, you know? And it just makes the perspective of like, if and when I do retire, I will hold those memories and cherish them. And I think when I officially step away, I will be able to have appreciation for what I did. But they're important to me and the people that I'm close to. And
I can 100% second that. When I was out with the autoimmune stuff, I felt like important to the sport. I was a part of the narrative, like the sport. I'm one of the pieces, constantly a part of the narrative in the tournaments and all that. And then I was out and was like, watching tournaments, like they're not mentioning my name. Like fans probably don't even remember that, like care where I went. Like fans aren't asking on some blog. Like they were probably here and there or whatever. It's beach volleyball for fans, you know. There's like 12 of them,
and they're all listening.
Love you guys.
We love you guys were asking. No, but I remember having those same thoughts, and it's not like I didn't even know I was having those thoughts. Like I realized that I thought I was important to the sport or like going to be a part of it forever kind of thing. It was just like, oh, like when you're gone, you're gone. So like when I came back, it actually gave me a new perspective of like, you got to actually that's why I started getting into broadcasting a little bit. It's like, well, they're not just going to talk about you, like make you a part of the narrative. You have to be a part of it. So then the broadcasting kind of helped me kind of stay in it. And that's kind of thinking like from a business standpoint, branding, like, stay a part of the sport, stay relevant. But I had to like actually physically like go out there and do things to stay relevant in the sport, because I had the same feeling. I was like, if this is it, like what I did with Hayden that was it. And it was like in the past, and people aren't probably going to talk about me very long, you know, like they're going to talk about Carrie and Misty and Phil. But even then, like, we talk about these players a lot on the podcast, but how often is Hov's name and Dodd's name mentioned nowadays, except for like, you know, the 60-year-old dads who are telling their kids, like, I used to watch Hov and Dodd, and the kids are like, who the hell's that?
Well, if you listen closely, you can probably hear Hov talking shit from 21st.
That's the problem. We live near Hov, so we hear he makes himself relevant. He goes out and makes himself relevant while screaming down the street.
You followed his model. Make
Yeah, right,
keep
exactly.
yourself involved.
Actually, I saw McGregor did it. I read McGregor's trainer's book, Win or Learn, which I loved. And he said Connor refused, like he got injured, right? And he refused to be out of the spotlight. So he took the job of coaching one of the first, what is that show they made?
Like Ultimate Fighter?
Ultimate Fighter, right.
Yeah.
Where he was one of the coaches to the younger athletes. But it was like a part of his plan to like stay relevant in the sport and have people see him and hear his voice. And then his brand was still strong when he came back. And I don't know. My point is I had those same thoughts, and it is humbling. But I also feel like I've kind of let go more since then of like just try to have your impact, and then at the end of it, it's like just observe what it was and be okay with it kind of thing, rather than like they should be mentioning me, like I did this, like, you know, like, because you're hearing them on TV saying things, and you're like, well, my stat's better than that, like they should mention my stat before, because you know all your own stats or your whatever, you know, like this person's done so amazing, they've got a silver medal at the World Championship. You're like, well, I got a gold. Like, why are they talking about me? Yeah. And I'm 5-0 against this team. Like, it could be something like that where that comes into your head, but of course they're not going to say that. But you're just like, damn. Like,
yeah, I wouldn't say that I necessarily feel that I'm owed anything by any means. Like, I do not have those thoughts. Right. But I think in recent years I have seen so many of like the greats step away. And I think the moment that like really made me understand that, and not necessarily empathize with it because I wasn't going through it at the time, but I was just like, wow, was when April stopped. Because here's somebody who is like among the best to have ever played internationally and AVP.
right.
And she started out last season, played a couple tournaments, and then stopped.
Right.
Nobody talked about her.
And that was it.
Nobody talked about her on tour.
Yeah.
Nobody. And here I am being like, wait.
Yeah, like, where's
wait.
Where's the farewell tour?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I'm like,
I actually hate that
No,
as
like,
well.
let's like keep, like, she did some great things. Like, we can't just like let her fade out.
Yeah,
like, that's not how
exactly.
this should go.
Right.
And so when I saw that happening, I was like, you can literally give everything to this sport. You can win everything in this sport, but when you stop,
You might not even get a goodbye.
yeah.
Right.
And then now when I'm kind of like floating here, I don't know what I'm doing. It's like, okay, yeah. Yep. That's how it is.
Like, it's possible, right?
And it kind of puts it in perspective to be like, you know what? This is what it will be like when it's officially done.
Right.
So I'm going to freaking live this up. I'm going to love every chance I have to play a tournament. I'm going to compete and compete hard and like be me and just like enjoy whatever opportunity I have. And like, because when it's done, I'm going to be the only one who really says anything or cares.
Right.
So yeah, it's
So-
a harsh reality, but sport just, again, sucks.
Well, it could end up being a positive that you can gain this perspective before you come to that time. Like, you still have, who knows, years left.
I mean, I would like that to be true.
I mean, it could ease. None of us know, right? But Hayden's playing at 50, so
Yeah.
as long as he's still playing, I'm still 17 years younger than him. I keep trying to feel like I'm like, oh, I think I'm the older guy on tour. I'm like, well, Hayden's still playing. I'm still 17 years younger than him.
That is an incredible number. 17 years younger.
When we started, it was like,
You guys made a
he's
final.
one of the older players.
In December.
He was the old guy when I started, like the oldest.
Jeez.
I don't think anyone was older than him. I think he was 40 when I partnered with him.
Oh my gosh.
And I was 23.
He's incredible.
Isn't that crazy?
That's amazing.
Like, damn, he's playing at 40. This is amazing. Because then, like, Karch was like 44. It was like, that's ridiculous. No one's going to do that. And now he's
like, no, I'm 50.
smashed that. Almost got him a win at 50 last year.
Almost.
Why the hell did Phil sign up for that event?
Another guy who's in his 40s.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
This is
Yeah.
insane.
Exactly.
Was it kind of important for you to see April retired to little fanfare to sort of understand that, yeah, that's the way it's going to be? Not that April's retired. It hasn't
I feel
been
like
made official.
I'm still picturing her. I'm like not okay with that.
Yeah, I'm not okay with
like
it
leaving
either.
like that. I'm just picturing her.
Honestly, I thought about
coming back
calling her up for like an AVP, but I think she'd probably laugh in my face. So
That would be fun.
do it. April, if you're
I think
watching
that
this,
I think that could be worth a call.
I think it's worth a phone call.
I mean,
Manhattan Open.
I've really thought about it.
April's a
if you're watching
competitor
this-
too, Pav.
I mean, that's not a weird call to make or get in any way.
Oh, here's a call from one of the
I
greatest
mean-
blockers ever.
Yeah.
Nah, ignore.
Yeah, what?
She's like, I don't need you. I've already won the Olympics. Like, I'm done. Understandable. But was it important? I wish that it wasn't the case.
Yeah.
Like, witnessing that, and I don't know how many people thought about it, but for whatever reason I did. Witnessing that made me sad. Because it's like, how does the sport just like let go of its best athletes with nothing?
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to the leadership of our sport. There's one guy in all the tours that cares so much about that, Josh, and he made those videos, and like, you know, Jake got one, Casey got one. Well, Phil didn't announce a retirement or whatever.
And he's still playing.
But he's still playing.
And he's still playing. I think it should be at least that, you know. And if I'm the tour, I'm like asking, like, hey, if you can tell us when you're retiring, like we can. It should be a retirement tour, like where you go to the stops. This is your last time in Chicago. This is your last time in here. Try to make it like that.
Yeah.
And it bums me out when it's not like that. Like, who do we lose this year? Past year, Bruno.
Right?
Yeah.
Nobody even
magician.
remember that? The
Yeah.
magician. He's like the guy. Who's your favorite defender? Ask anyone on tour. It's always Bruno.
Yeah.
And it was just like a couple of his partners,
Super good
former
dude.
partners, making like a post on Instagram.
I
It's like,
like felt bad that I didn't make a post, but I'm like, I don't know. It's just kind of disappeared.
yeah. And I'm not saying that like sport. I mean, that's what makes sport beautiful, is that it continues.
Yeah.
And there's always the next generation. There's always the next big thing, which that's amazing.
Well, the sports we look at on TV always, like the ESPNs are making, like these huge media moguls are making big deals of it. And we don't have that, right? So it'd have to be like,
This is what we got.
It was very,
well, we'll get anyone on the podcast and then these retirees.
it was eye-opening.
Yeah, no.
That witnessing that experience was eye-opening. And it really put things into perspective for me about like an individual's role in sport and like what accomplishments and winning and things like that, like what do they really mean?
Yeah.
I've spent a lot of time thinking about it.
It's good
But
stuff to
that
kind of
honestly
meditate
was
on.
the catalyst
Yeah.
for me thinking about those things,
Yeah.
was seeing that happen.
And would you want kind of a big celebratory retirement thing? Because you're such a quiet, you keep to yourself pretty well.
I do. I definitely am not somebody that goes out of my way
Like,
to
throw
like,
me a party.
like-
you, that doesn't seem like
I
a
like
Sarah
to
Pavan
kind
thing.
of. I don't need to be the center of attention. I
Yeah.
wouldn't necessarily want a big thing. I think that there is, in my mind, a right and a wrong way to retire. And I think going out on your terms is very important. But I would want the people that I care about to be there. Or I would want it to be like a benchmark, event, whether it's an Olympic Games or
Right.
or something like that. Something that like marks a clear ending. And obviously not everybody gets that.
Yeah.
But I think the big thing of if and when I do step away from the sport is I do want it to be on my terms. And I want to be at peace with it. And the situation that I'm in right now, I know there have been rumors that I'm retiring. They are not true. I don't appreciate that those had got started. And I'm not happy about that. And so I will make sure that if and when that time comes, it will be the way that I want, and I will be the one to announce it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, we can have some champagne back when you want to.
Amazing.
Welcome to come back here. We'll have your
Even
retirement
if it's when
party.
you're 50.
Of you and hiding on together.
To me, that doesn't sound great. But if
That's intimidating.
isn't that nuts? Yeah.
With you right now, when you wake up to go practice, because last time when we just caught up, you talked about how much you love putting in the work. Like, what is it right now that really fires you up to get going? Is it just putting in the work every day at practice, whether it's with a Stockman or if it's just maybe you and Adam?
I mean, even though I don't know what I'm practicing for right now, I love practicing.
I love that.
I love getting better. And I truly believe that I am still getting better despite like age or how long I've been playing, whatever. I really do think that I'm getting better. I love working hard. Like, honestly, this might be like an old person thing, but like nothing aggravates me and brings me more joy than seeing a younger kid like give up on a ball. And then like me be like, no, I am going to lay out for this. Like, how dare you not make a full effort on this ball? Yeah. Like, so I don't know. It's just like, I love working hard.
Yeah.
If I'm not dying at the end of a practice, I'm like, I didn't do enough today. So yeah, I enjoy the process of getting better. It's not anything like when I was younger, I loved games.
Yeah.
Like game day, live for that. I like the day-to-day process of getting better now, I would say more than competition.
I feel like I'm almost on the cusp of that as well. Because the road, as you get older, the road is what kind of takes the toll, I think, being away and like, you know, 5 days at the same venue, you already practiced and you're going back and the warm-ups, right? You're like, not
don't make
really
me warm
getting,
up more than once in a day.
You're not really.
Like, don't.
Exactly.
Honestly, I kind of bitched about this in New Orleans. On Friday, my first game was at 5:30 p.m. My second game was at 7:30.
Well,
I was very upset about that in the moment, but then I was like, I only have to warm up once.
Right. Good point.
That was great.
I played Saturday. My first game was at 11:30 p.m.
Mine was at 10.
I had to do that.
10 p.m.
I had to do that where you like basically do a whole workout in the morning.
Oh yeah, I saw you at the gym that morning.
We were both at the gym.
That was a rough day.
But yeah, warm-ups. That's kind of one of the, because it's a big part of what we do, but it's not, you're not really working on your craft. You're warming up your body.
To not injure yourself.
To not injure yourself, but to be able to perform your craft and to warming up to work on your craft. But it's not that fun. Like there's nothing fun about warm-ups, and you do so many of them, and you feel like you're cheating yourself. At least I do. If I don't feel like I've warmed up,
you do some intense warm-ups.
It doesn't have to be 100%, but like, well, the way I learned it, and Hayden was this way. I tried to like take everything from him early on. It was just like you're wasting the first rep if you're using it to warm up. If you're using those first reps to warm up, you're not doing it to the best of your ability, right? So yeah, I've tweaked it over the year, and like my 10 reps turns into like 2 by the end of the tournament. Like 10 of these, 2 of these. But yeah, that's one of the things where I'm like, the shuttle rides to the venue, and then like, can I just be on the court warm already? Like that'll be fun. But like practicing here, being here, I'm never like not excited to go to practice or like, oh, I don't want to go to work today, even though we do like feel like crap sometimes. So I guess I'm right there behind you.
On the edge.
I guess I'm on the edge.
Well, I am a few years older than you, so
we're almost 50.
It is. Makes sense that you're on that path.
Yeah, I guess so. But I'm 17 years younger than Hayden.
That is
see how my psychology works? We might retire at the same time, actually.
He's
like,
still
damn,
going.
now that he's retired, I'm old all of a sudden.
I did try to fish him out for New Orleans before me and Avery signed. I was like, John, we could be in. If you want, it's closer than any other stop on tour.
Right.
He's like, yeah, but it's not that close. I was like, fine.
Love that.
It's worth a shot.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's awesome that you still get fired up about practice, though.
I feel like that's the time when I'm going to know it's time for me to go.
Is when you hate going to practice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've thought about it before, and I was kind of like thinking, like, I think that's the feeling that I'm going to be like, meh. Because then you're not going to get the results, right?
That's true. And then you're going to be upset that you're not getting the
And you're having
results.
bad
And then
days.
it's just like,
You're having days that are dragging on.
Because I think that makes the tournaments worse when you don't enjoy the work that goes into them.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you have, say, you have a bad finish, then you sort of resent every morning that you're going out there. And then it's just this downward spiral.
You don't want to be on the court and be too tired or like hit a bad shot and be like, if I got my reps, you know, have doubt in your preparation.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's the most frustrating thing that I can't handle.
no, I could not live with that.
So the second practice goes, I think that's when I go.
Yeah. It's probably a
I
good
think
rule of
that's
thumb.
a good benchmark.
Yeah.
Right.
When did you notice that shift in yourself? Because you said when you were younger, it was like game days were the biggie. And it might not be a big moment, but just kind of a sliding scale into that.
I mean, I started beach really late in life. So, like, there was still excitement around, like,
It's like
all
novelty.
the games and
Yeah.
stuff. I would say, honestly, indoor, it probably happened in my late 20s, mid
Okay.
to late 20s. And then beach, I would say it started happening, like, pre-pandemic.
Okay.
Where it was just like, no, practice is the place where like we learn new things and we implement new things and we see how they work against like live competition. And then by the time you get to a game, it's just like you're just putting the refined product on display.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't get me wrong. Like I love competition. I love like the chess match. I love the psychological like aspect and the intensity, and getting a block is an amazing feeling. Like, don't get me wrong, I love it. But it's just like the things that you do when nobody is watching are the things that like make me excited. And it's the things that people, the casual observer, just don't understand. And I think that's a big reason why I really don't care all that much what people think or say about me or whatever. Is just like, no, you do not know me. You don't know what my day-to-day is. You don't know who I am as a person, who I am even as an athlete. You see what I choose to show you on stadium court. And so that is truly why I don't care what people say about how I act or my intensity or who I am or how good I am or whatever, because I'm like, you just don't know me.
Right. Yeah.
So it's come to practice with me every single day for a month and you might have an idea.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that's something I've always thought lacked in our sport, which is partially why we started the podcast in the first place. Like, okay, get to know this person that you're watching a little bit, you know. It's not a huge amount. Like I said, they're not in the gym or at practice or understanding like all the little things you're doing when no one's looking, just to get better in that small moment.
Yeah.
But I think I've noticed that as well and felt that it's really lacking. I mean, I think it's just lacking more in our sport because we don't have that media. But then our lives would also be made really difficult if we had that huge media spotlight.
Be a lot different.
But we'd be a lot richer too.
I was just going to say that.
I'll take it.
There's
I'll
a give
take the
and
money.
But we kind of talked about that last time I was here, was the whole, like, there are the social media thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And, like, the people who choose to craft a narrative through social media.
That's a whole nother
Exactly.
thing. Right.
And it's just, and I was telling Travis, like, I'm not somebody who does that.
Right.
What you see is what you get.
Right.
I am who I am. If you know me, great. And if you don't,
Right.
too bad. Like, but whatever I choose to share is me.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we were kind of It's kind of along the same lines of like feeling like you know who an athlete is. You don't.
Yeah.
Like you don't. Even if
Yeah.
you think you do, like you know what they want you to see.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's it.
And it's like you turn into an animal. Like I'm a completely different person on the court. We all are. For
The white
right?
mamba.
Oh.
The white mamba.
On court,
I can't have
Sarah
that.
and like Sarah,
Exactly.
they are not the same
Right.
person.
So
They
right.
are not the same.
But like fans, if that's all they see, they just assume we're that person, right?
Oh,
and that's
yeah.
the only person they see is that crazy person that we are. And that's not true.
Do you think it's good to have that? I don't want to dramatize and call it like an alter ego, but that you are a different person on the court than you are off it. Because my dad always tried. He's like, be mean on the court, and then as soon as you're off the court, like go back, be
Right.
nice. And I don't know. I'm just like still like kind of goofy on the court.
I think it's got to be authentic.
Yeah.
And if it comes off mean, then that's fine. There's just it's like, how deep do you want to go into competing?
Yeah.
Like there's rules and there's refs that are going to implement those. And then the most competitive people are like, and anything beyond that is fair game. Like it's who can get the most points on the board.
Yeah.
That's the sport. So when you go into that mindset and you assume that that opponent might have that, you're going to come off as a black mamba, this most venomous snake in the world, right? That's what Kobe was.
Yeah.
But I think some people, I don't know, it's hard for some people to tap into that because they're almost like scared of like being someone else and letting that out. And it's taken me years to like kind of be comfortable with it, to be like that authentic on the court. I learned stuff about myself. Like, why am I doing that?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I don't care either.
It's like Tim Grover. I think you have Relentless up there, right?
That's a good book.
He called it the dark side. Every athlete's kind of got to let
that's
tap
the best
into that dark
book
side.
to read if you want to. The Cleaners,
love
right?
That book, yeah.
I'm actually not done with it. Reading it now.
Oh man.
And just every time he mentions the 3 levels, I'm like, am I a cleaner? I think can't be a cooler on any of these. But yeah, that's a good example.
Is that?
I think you're a
I
cleaner.
think I'm a cleaner.
Yes. For you, I would have checked
When
the
I was
box
reading
on
it, I was
everything.
like, yeah, that's not
You're like, I must be. I think I'm okay here. I checked the boxes. I would say so.
Well, I'm curious what you think about it when you're done. I really liked that book.
I love it so far. Yeah, I think it's great. I think I like checking a lot of the boxes, and there's other ones where I'm like, I question it. I'm like, dude, is that necessary? Because it's so intense, right? He's like talking about that Kobe, Michael mindset. And I'm like, there's a few boxes where I'm like, maybe I can go check the cleaner box on this one. So we'll see. Room for improvement.
It's wonderful.
Did you read his second book, Winning?
No,
It's very good. I have it if you want it.
I would love that.
Done?
I just got a new book in the I forget what it's called. George Mumford, George Mumford. Athletes.
The Mindful Athlete.
The Mindful Athlete.
And then
was his
he-
first book. He just wrote another one. I just ordered it. So I'll let you know.
Yeah. He came on
Yes,
Gervais'
I would
podcast
love
the other
that.
day.
Yeah, that's right.
That's good.
He was one of the first sports psychs, basically, to tap into mainstream NBA and like worked with Jordan and Kobe, and so he kind of tells those stories.
I'll read it.
It's a good one.
Let me know how it
Actually,
is.
I have the first one, Mindful Athlete, on the bookshelf if you want to take it. It's good.
I think I
Perfect.
will. if
Hopefully
you
I
We're going
didn't
to come away with a library.
Hopefully
Oh
I
my
didn't
gosh.
write notes and underline and stuff in it because my notes are crazy.
I won't read them and no judgment.
Okay, perfect.
Do.
My
But-
handwriting's probably so bad you can't.
But yeah, I think it needs, going back to what Troy was saying,
Yeah,
you
sorry,
need to be
tangent.
authentic.
Yes.
I think you have that. It's been great having you back on, Pav.
Thanks.
I enjoyed this chat a
Thanks
lot.
for having
Heck yeah.
me back.
Yeah. Now we know that the Leafs, they probably need you as well. Are you a Leafs fan?
No,
No. Oh, man. That's
I
maybe-
don't. I actually rip them to shreds every time Adam watches them.
Poor Adam.
And I just sit beside him like, he sucks, hate that guy, he's a choke artist.
I would hate
He's
that so
probably
much.
happy that I'm not there.
Yeah, I would hate that so much because I'm always trying to get Gabby to love the Vikings, and she just could care less about any professional sport except for me. And I'm just trying to push it so hard. If she ever was ripping my Vikings, I'd be like,
To be
get the
fair,
hell out.
though,
Get out of the room right now.
the Leafs deserve it.
Sure.
You know
I don't
what?
even follow hockey.
Okay.
But I love it. I love it.
Let's give you a little recap. This is the first time they've made the second round in 20 years.
Oh, so they're like the Detroit Lions kind of thing.
But they have had great regular seasons and then choke in the first round all the time. So they kind of deserve it.
Yeah, that's true.
I can't tell you the number of games that I've watched that they've been up 4-1 at the middle of the third period and lost.
So they've just let you down too many times.
They deserve it. I didn't really watch hockey until I met Adam. But I do know more about it than he gives me credit for. Because I will throw out some names and some stats every now and then. We'll stop him dead in his tracks. So I do know what I'm doing. I just choose to not like them. But I'll cheer for them for his sake.
True competitor.
Just rip everybody apart.
That's why I didn't marry an athlete. It's perfect. Just a drama girl.
Delaney humors me on Sundays with the Ravens. She'll wear her Ravens shirt every Sunday, but she doesn't understand like why I get so tied up in the Ravens. She's like, you've never met any of them.
You never met them.
Well, yeah, but I love them.
Well, that's actually the thing that I think our sport lacks 100% is like that community. Like, I was in Brazil the other day watching the indoor match, and those fans were going crazy, just like they do in Europe and all these other leagues.
Because it was the Superliga final, wasn't it? Oh,
we were at the semifinal, and it was like they just were proud to be representing that club, that brand. Doesn't matter who's on the team. Switch them all out. I don't care. I'm just here to cheer on my team, my colors. We can't really have that in our sport.
I think certain
you can cheer on your friends, your brother, or something. Yeah. You know, you have the family.
Like you go to like a Stade, and they go pretty nuts for the Swiss teams.
So yes, right.
Certain
internationally,
stops. Yeah,
but not much. Maybe Stade, but Stade has the Europe's cheat like at those and
then you
Rebel
have Brazilians
events.
that show up everywhere.
Exactly.
Like it's not the same.
It's very different.
We have it a bit. Obviously, stadium court against Brazilians, like no one's cheering for us, and all for them is great. But also, like the most packed game I ever played was in Germany against Norway or against Russia. That was the loudest, the one you won, the world champs, loudest stadium I've ever played in probably, and they were just cheering for volleyball, really.
Yeah.
Like they weren't cheering for either of us.
Yeah.
Plus, they'd like all know the same dances and like that's kind of cheat, like fake cheering. They're actually just there to dance and have fun.
Having played pro indoor in Brazil,
you know what it's like.
It was
it's so cool,
fantastic.
Exactly, like they are diehard. I was actually sitting in the wrong section, the away team, and I was like, I do not want to cheer right now because when they scored and that little section started cheering, everyone's eyes just went to us. Like, let's get them. Let's out cheer them and hopefully not kill them. But because
you were was it the women's match you were watching?
Yeah,
Praia Clube.
Yeah,
the women.
So Cam knew Bree King, the setter. So she got us tickets.
I played for Bree King's team.
Flamenco.
They were a different team back then.
It was in Rio though, right?
I played in Rio.
Rio, okay, yeah.
And that club was a club even then.
So did you play at Uberlandia?
Yes.
In that gym?
Yeah.
It's like kind of indoor, outdoor. It was like a bigger Puerto Rico gym. Because I played in Puerto Rico. So it was like a little bigger version of that.
Yeah.
You got the birds flying around in the gym when they have the indoor, outdoor sometimes. Yeah.
You got to watch.
Poop on the court. Don't want to dive on that one.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Good times.
Oh, I'm glad you got to go to that.
That's it was cool. It was good for me to get back and watch indoor. But then I was like, damn, they have good fans.
They do. Indoors, different.
It's different.
It is.
And especially overseas.
It was fun to commentate the Italian league. I'm like, this is...
Oh, I watch that still. I love it.
That's really the first indoor I'd ever watched consistently. Holy cow. Those guys.
Or men?
I did 2 women's matches, but most men. And they are animals. Oh
The
my
game's
gosh.
changed so much
Yeah.
since I've left.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
When they're in system, like
Watch out.
it's impossible to stop, especially when you have guys hit like a TJ DeFalco coming in, hitting those bics. Like, it's insane.
Basically at the net.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild. Even
Yeah.
the serve, when you're like even watching them serve from the baseline.
I love it. When they do that back camera angle in indoor and you see these jump serves that like
How they
hook,
move. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
and then the liberos just like
But then they're
tracking.
moving so fast that they're
Yeah.
also going like this and hooking and they're spinning.
Dropping
It's like,
and yeah.
And somehow they're passing it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, anytime someone gets a dig, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen in my
Yeah, the
life.
digs. Like when the libero digs one down, or the set, or whoever digs it down the line, because you're so close.
Yeah.
Like you're just strapping it on. Boom. Perfect. Like, are you serious? Yeah. Anyway. Good memories.
Yeah.
Well, Pav, where can people follow along your journey? You on?
I
Still
am
on
on
Insta?
social media. I don't post super often, but yeah. Instagram,
Just Sarah Pavan?
Sarah _
Sarah _ Pavan.
Yes.
There we go.
Perfect.
I mix it up every now and then. Twitter, I'm old, so that's still a thing that I use sometimes. And yeah,
Perfect.
Right on. Well, great catching up again. Had a blast. Good to have Try in here.
it
Yeah.
is. It was
Yeah.
great to hang out with you guys.
Full
Heck
crew.
yeah. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing.
having me.
Good luck to the Leafs. I'm rooting for them.
I will too. Secretly.
Shoots.